Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. We're live here at Adventure Unknown in Fenton, Missouri, in our new office space where we're also doing the podcast. So all the episodes in person from here on out, you'll see at this awesome space. If you haven't been to AU yet and you're in the St. Louis area, send me a message. I would love to have you as a guest, show you around what we have going on. If it's been a while, feel free to come back. We have a lot of new amenities, even adding more amenities, ton of networking events coming up too. So send me a message. Would love the opportunity to show you around. I'm fired up about today's episode. I've got my guy, Jeremy Wolfe, here in the building. Jeremy and I connected back in 2020 originally. He came to one of my first live events I did in 2021. Stayed connected ever since, but a huge fan of what he's been building. If you don't know Jeremy, he started Stay Cool Climate Control back in 2020. We were just talking the day of the whole pandemic thing back in March of 2020. That's when he launched all the social media channels. He's got an HVAC company, which is Stay Cool, right here in St. Charles County. In just a few years, he's built an incredible company with so many different Google reviews, a perfect 5-star rating. If you're in the trades or any business at all, with hundreds and hundreds of Google reviews, you know how hard it is to get that many, but also stay at 5 stars. But what I love about Jeremy is he didn't just stop there. He opened up a Hotworks franchise in St. Peter's. He's been investing in real estate. He's building a brand on social media for himself and for his business. He's the definition of betting on yourself and going all in. So today we're going to break that all down, how he built this business from the ground up, added in additional businesses, and really how he just has that mentality and that mindset of what success truly looks like. I was just asking him before. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do it all, but here we are. Man, welcome to the show, buddy.
I appreciate the introduction, man.
Yeah, man. You know what's funny? So have you heard of, you use Slack?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard of Victor? Victor?
I don't think so.
So it's this AI employee that you put in Slack, and it follows everything you do in Slack. So basically it'll send you, like, if you miss something, all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
It pinged me today and is like, hey, you got 2 podcasts today. Can I put together an introduction, do research? So I had my introduction that I typically do. Victor frickin' went on your social media, did all the industry research, did all that stuff, and put that together.
That's crazy. I believe it, though. My brother, he had to make a little bio of me the other day for a trade fair I went to, and he just put it into his ChatGPT and was like, tell me about Jeremy Wolfe, local business owner, and sure enough, boom, the whole profile popped up.
Dude, so what's nuts is the fact that it can do that, but the fact of, like, you building your brand, which is what I want to get into, of, like, you have so much stuff out there where it's easy to do that.
Pull the information from it. And
yeah.
No,
so how did you get started with Stay Cool? Like, where did all this stuff kind of come to fruition?
So, long story short, I've always wanted to be a business owner. I kind of knew that when I was 12 years old. We were selling golf balls to golfers on the golf course behind my parents' house. We'd go collect them from the lake, set up a little shop, sell them to them. So I knew I wanted to get into some sort of business. I went to school for engineering because that was kind of the direction my family wanted me to go. I was good at math and science, and a few years into it, I'm like, this isn't for me. I gotta be out there. I gotta talk to people. I gotta use my hands. I like to build things, like physically. So I got into the trades. I grew up racing motorcycles and working on them. So that's kind of how I knew, like, basic mechanics of things. Most people that can fix things can fix a multiple different things. It's not just one thing. So got into the trades, started learning HVAC for a while, and then after graduating trade school, worked for a few different companies. Once it got to the point where I kind of knew, like, okay, I can do 80% of this job and I can learn the other 20%. It was kind of like the perfect combination because I knew I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't know when the right time was. And if you listen to enough people, there's never the right time. So you just have to go. And COVID kind of put me in this position where I was forced to go. I had recently purchased my first home like a year before COVID happened, so I now had a house payment to make, car payments, all the things as growing up to be an adult. So I was like, okay, I have real responsibilities now. And then whenever COVID happened in like January of 2020, my hours, I was working 40, 50 hours a week, they just started going down. And I'd been building this stuff in the background. I got my license, I got insurance, I started working on a website, social medias, building the brand, had the logo designed, all that during my nights and weekends. Any free time I had, we were working on that stuff. And then again, it was like a perfect mix of time because, well, it didn't seem like it, but looking back, it couldn't have been better.
Yep.
They announced the stay-at-home order for COVID, and the company I was working for was kind of dialed back to like 20 hours a week. I could barely make my payments on what I was working, so I was doing some side work at the time. Me and my boss had a different kind of deal worked out where it was okay, and basically the day they announced the stay-at-home order in St. Charles County, I think it was like March 20th or around then, I was like, now's the time. Now's the time to get everything out there on socials, the website. We just launched the business. We launched the brand. We have our Talk About Us free taco program.
Yeah.
That actually came about during COVID as well because local restaurants were struggling. They couldn't get people to come in and purchase things. So we were like, what if we partner with these Mexican restaurants? Tacos, Mexican food's my favorite food.
Yeah.
So we're like, we'll go to these local businesses, buy gift certificates, and then when people refer other people to us, we'll give them the gift certificate.
Yep.
So not only did they get something, but the restaurants received something as well, which helped their business, and who doesn't love tacos? So it kind of worked out perfectly. And again, like I didn't know at the time because it was a very strange time. There was no one on the streets, no one on the roads. We were going into houses doing estimates with masks on, and it's hard to sell something with a mask on because you can't see their facial expressions. You can't build trust. And when you're purchasing $10, $12, $15,000 pieces of equipment for your house, trust is like
number one.
And that was very hard, but we did work through it. And looking back at it now in 2026, I think 21, 22, 23, they were the best years the trades ever had, basically, because everyone was home. People were getting the free money from the government and all the things going on. Everything was top of mind. They spent so much time at home that they're like, I have to fix this air conditioner.
Yeah.
We might as well do it now. And again, I didn't know, but it couldn't have worked out better.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I went full-time July 2020, so just a couple months after you, and it was like, again, new business owner, like there's a lot of risk going on, but looking back on it is like it couldn't have played out better because you kind of get through that initial whatever the hell that was, and then on the other side of that, it's like, again, you mentioned people spending money, people now investing in different things, and so timing is never perfect, but like you look back on stuff and you're like, yeah, that kind of did work out.
Yeah, no, it's weird to think about too, because you're like, if I had to do that again, would I do it differently, or could I do it differently? And I don't know. I definitely don't want to do it again, but if I had to, I would.
So talk to us about kind of like the last 6 years then. So it's 2026. Obviously, you built the team. We were just talking about that before. What's kind of the evolution been like on, hey, it's boots on the ground, we're getting this thing going, to now we have, you know, a team, hundreds and hundreds of Google reviews?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The first few years, I mean, people always ask me, they're like, how'd you build your business? I built my business on nights and weekends before I quit my job.
Yeah.
It wasn't like something I just quit my job and I'm making all this money. It kind of drives me crazy when people think that's what business owners do, because it's like, I mean, I had a buddy that called me, he's like, hey, I'm going to quit my job and start this company. I'm like, okay, great. I don't know if I do it that way. Then 2 weeks later, he's like, hey, how am I going to make money? I'm like, you shouldn't have quit your job, dude. I don't know. So I didn't quit my job right away. I worked lots of nights, lots of weekends between 2018, 2019, the beginning of 2020. Once I did launch the business in 2020, again, me and my boss had a different arrangement worked out. I was his top guy and he kind of needed me, and I was okay getting some hours. So I went to him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna start my own business. You can fire me, I can quit, we can part ways, do whatever, or I can work for you a little bit, I can work for myself a little bit. And we came to an agreement that that's what we were gonna do. Basically, instead of his stuff coming as a priority, we flopped where my stuff was now a priority, but I was still going to help him.
Yep.
It worked out great, and luckily he was a great guy that helped me kind of get going with that aspect. A lot of times people just cut you off, and it wasn't the case. So pretty much 6 months through 2020, I was working for myself and for him. I was by myself truly. Eventually, after about 6 months, I hired a helper that was doing like handyman work. My brother's buddy, I taught him HVAC and how to install units, how to service them basically. And then going into 2021, we were starting to get busier. Well, I guess at the end of the summer of 2020, it was getting to the point where it didn't really make logical sense for me to continue working with that guy. Yeah. So we parted ways. I did a little bit of subcontracting for him, and then finally we were just on our own, completely separate. So going into 21, I was doing my own thing completely, and then my brother Carter actually was getting ready to graduate college with a business and associate's degree. He didn't have a job, and I needed someone to answer my phone. So one of the biggest things is I never really wanted to force my family into the business because I didn't know if it'd work out or not, and I didn't want to be held liable if it didn't. So I'm like, hey, if you want to work here, the position's available. This is kind of my vision, my dream. If you want to build it with me, you can. And he was down for it. He wanted, so he started answering the phones, making like minimum wage basically, but that was able to get me off the phones and more in the field, installing, selling, servicing jobs. So the first couple of years, I mean, I was out there every day. I was doing installs all day, and then 2 o'clock we finish up. I start running service calls till the night. There was times, I mean, I missed many family vacations, birthday parties, Christmas. Me and my brother installed a furnace on Christmas Eve. I remember it very vividly because it was on Christmas Eve, and we got it done in like 1 hour flat. It was a pull-in show. It was very quick and easy. But yeah, so the first 3 years or so, it was kind of boots on the ground 24/7. And then as I started to develop myself into more of like a business person versus a contractor, technician, I started to realize, okay, I need to work on this business, not in this business. And I think that's the hardest thing for contractors to do, is get out of the day-to-day. So I slowly started weaning myself off, like, okay, I'm going to help on the installs a little bit, but not entirely. Same with the service. We started hiring service technicians, training installers. We got more people in the office to answer the phones with Carter. Carter kind of elevated himself to the business manager, operations. He does all the day-to-day now. Like I say, he pretty much runs the business. I kind of make connections, make sure everyone has the proper tools, training, vans, insurance, taxes, all that other stuff. Marketing, I love doing marketing. I don't know if I'll ever kind of let that one go because it's fun. It's fun. I like to come up with the scenarios and see how things are performing. But I would say going into like 24, 25, that's when I kind of like, I'm not fully out of the field yet, but pretty much there. I still keep a truck full of tools because, like we were saying before, I like to build things. It's kind of like bad because you get to a certain stage in business where you know your time is not valued working on the stuff. You have to work on the business. But when I get off work, I mean, I go out to our farm and I start building stuff. The neighbor's like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, man, I have to stay busy. Like, if I'm not building something or creating something, I just feel like I'm wasting time and talent. So it's like, I like to stay busy doing that. It's kind of a hard transition too, because like before, when we were 2022, when I was doing installs and service, like for me to move the needle, so to speak, I could go run 10 more service calls, sell 5 more jobs, install the units. But now to move the needle, I can't like hustle my way out of it.
100%.
I have to make strategic business decisions using other people as the client fulfillment side, the labor of it. And it's like, okay, we want to grow the business. I can't just go run 10 more service calls. So it's a lot different than what I was used to, because like I kind of come from the background of like I can hustle my way out of a problem. If we need $1,000, I can go run 5 service calls for $200. But now the problems are a lot bigger, and obviously the reward is a lot bigger as well. But you just have to figure out different ways to do the work that's required. And I think last year, I mean, I probably physically worked on 3 or 4 units myself. So I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty much removed from the day-to-day work, but obviously if the team needs help and I'm not busy doing something, I'm gonna hop in and help them.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to sometimes. And I like to lead by example and show everyone, like, listen, if we're on a sinking ship for the day, like, I'm not just gonna walk away. Like, I'm going down. We're gonna be bailing water together.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So I wanna and I appreciate you as a perfect storyline of kind of tying everything together. I want to go back and hit a couple points that you mentioned. So the first point you mentioned is that kind of outside the box idea where you were like, hey, we're going to go partner with these restaurants. We're going to go do this. We're going to provide value here. We're going to spend some money at these restaurants that are struggling. We're going to do the taco stuff. I know I got a couple sent to my house before as well for referring new people. It was so outside the box, and it's something that people just stick on forever. And I know you're really big on branding and just getting your name out there where people won't forget it, right?
Yeah.
Where did you learn that?
Honestly, probably just like a combination of reading different books and material. Like, I try to educate myself along the way. The taco program, me and my dad were kind of talking before any of this was even a thing on like how we want the vehicle wrap to look. And we knew, so in O'Fallon, Missouri, there's over 300 HVAC companies. And I say companies because a lot of them are 2 or 3 guys, one guy, where like, okay, you own a job. I'm not going to consider that a full operating business. It's, for some people, that's all they want, and that's great.
Yep.
But that's not what I wanted. I want a business, a real business that runs and operates itself, and one day I can step aside and let it do its thing, and it still keeps growing. That to me is a business. And so I was like, how do we set ourselves apart from everyone else? And me and my dad are going back and forth, and I'm like, we need something crazy. We need something just that doesn't make any logical sense to draw people's attention, and they're like, what? Why is there a taco on this HVAC van? And we were going back and forth. We're like, well, what if we did like a pizza? I had my buddy design a logo back when I used to ride motorcycles for me. And I'm like, it kind of clicked. I'm like, we can do a taco. Macho nachos were my favorite food growing up at Crossroads Elementary School. Then we always went to El Maguey. So I'm like, tacos only make sense. We can have him draw this animated taco. Then we had a drawing to give it a name. His name's Frio, like free taco or Freon the refrigerant. It kind of is a play on words. But honestly, I think just a combination of like talking to people, listening to podcasts, reading books, me and my dad chopping it up, trying to figure out what the best idea is. And it truly worked exactly how we wanted it to, because I mean, even to this day, my buddy just told me on the call that I was on before this, he was like, dude, I see your taco on the billboard and instantly I think of you, because there's no other company that does anything remotely close to it. Like, you have companies with mascots and caricatures and stuff like that, but they all involve heating and cooling, which I think that's where we did the right thing by not involving heating and cooling. Because people are like competitors, they'll be like, the taco has nothing to do with the company.
You're like, yeah, but you're talking about it.
Exactly. It's like, man, if I'm spending thousands of dollars on gift cards for tacos, it's probably working how we want it to work. And it definitely makes you feel good about it whenever people are talking about it. I mean, me and my brother, we flew out to Colorado to take a class for heat exchangers. We walked in the class, we talked to a guy, he turned around, he was from the area, and first thing he said to us, he points, he's like, you're the taco guys. I'm like, I'm the taco guy. At first I was like, I don't know if I want this recognition. And now I'm like, bring it. I'm the taco guy. Call me whatever you want. Like, if you're mentioning the free taco, that means you know who we are and what we do. And the Alex Hermosi, Gary Vee, all those guys are like, who you are, what you do, that's the most important message to get out to people.
Yep.
And that's kind of why I think like I personally use my personal social media so much, is because it's like those are all my friends, my family, my connections. And if they know who I am and what I do, anytime that subject matter gets brought up, I'm going to be top of mind. And like the other day I was burning a field and people are like, why are you burning a field and putting stories on your social media? I'm like, because it's engagement. Like people don't want to hear about HVAC all the time. Maybe a small little snippet, but it's like, if I can keep them engaged on other things, then bring them back.
Yeah, and it's all, especially with what you do, it's not like everybody needs it all the time too. So if that's all you're talking about, you're going to lose people. If you're doing the other stuff, the engaging stuff, they're just going to keep seeing your crap. So when you need you, it goes, right?
100%.
And then the other thing you talked about was kind of missing out on stuff, right? So the birthday parties, the vacations, the Christmas stuff. And then you mentioned towards the end, you're like, hey, I can't hustle my way now through a lot of different stuff. So obviously there's been evolution of everything. But I think most people miss that point, that first point, where they're like, hey, I have to build the business on the side for 2 years.
Yes.
I can't just quit my job and 2 weeks later it be a massive success. But then it's the grind and the hustle that is required, and you can't skip that along the process in order to do it. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, well, you can't hustle and you can't do all that stuff. You're going to run yourself dry. At some point, you got to do it, and it's not forever, as you mentioned. And I did it for 3 straight years, and now I'm kind of on the other side, thankfully, as well. But I'm working differently in that strategic aspect than the doer. Talk to us about that grind, that like where you're like, shit, because, you know, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
Okay, 30 years old. So I'm 34. So when you're getting started on some of this stuff, like your friends are just maybe still graduating college, maybe getting their first jobs, like there was probably a lot of, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, the fear
FOMO.
of this, the FOMO of that. So talk to us about that.
No, I mean, that's a huge point, because that is one thing that people struggle to understand. And I think on the opposite side, if you have success too quickly, it can actually hinder you because you never had to grind. You never had to hustle. You never had to dig deep when you literally are crying and bloody and things are happening. And it's like that's an important learning process that makes you tough. And we're in Fenton. I'm a big Andy Frisilla guy, and I did the 75 hard 3 times. And I think that just the mental toughness aspect of the hustle all day, all night, missing the vacations, birthday parties, things like that, that's the investment into the business. And that is the same reason why you don't want to quit. Because you're like, man, I've been doing this for 2 years. I've missed all this stuff. I could have went to my buddy's 21st birthday, bachelor party, whatever it is, but I invested in myself, and it's an investment. It's not just missing things. If you're doing it right, you're investing in yourself, and you know that longer down the road, it's gonna pay off. And again, I think there's ups and downs. Like the revenue may go in a straight line growing, but personal hustle is like, there's days that you might have to work 12 hours, 16 hours. There's days you're only gonna have to work 3 or 4. In the beginning, I think it's really important to make sure that you're using your time wisely. You're not just wasting time. Like I always see in the networking world, people wasting time. They're literally going from networking event to networking event to networking event, but no actual physical work's getting done. And there's a time and a place to meet people and sell things, but I think like how efficient you are with your work is really important, and really just grinding it out. Like I knew early on, if I want to make as much money as I did, that I was gonna have to work twice as much as people. And I think in the trades, there's always this misconception of like how to grow the business, because everyone has what you call the entrepreneurial seizure, and they're like, I'm done working for people, I want to work for myself. And at the end of the day, they're technicians, they're installers, they're not business people. So there's this mindset where like, okay, you want to make $100,000 a year, I need to make $50 an hour. Great if you just want to work for yourself forever. If you want to make $50 an hour and grow a business, and I tell people that ask me all the time, you need to charge triple that. You need to charge 150 because you have to look at it like a business with outside investors. You have to have your business owner. They need to make $50 an hour out of their investment. You have your business itself. It needs to make $50 an hour to grow the business, to be able to buy the trucks, the vans. Then you have to have your worker, which is you at the time. You need to make your $50 an hour. If you're just charging that $150 an hour, you're never going to make it. And those are just random numbers.
Yeah.
But that's where people fail to realize, like, you have to invest in yourself. Again, the first year you might make $100,000 paying yourself the $50 an hour. The next year you need to hire someone for $50,000, and now your income drops in half. So that's where you're back down on the roller coaster. But now you got all your time back because they're doing the work. You're making half the amount of money, but then you get another one. Yep. Now you're back up to your 100,000, and you should be making more because the business is growing.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing for people to understand. Like, it's an investment. Everything you do, it's not going to happen overnight, and you have to grind it out. Like, I mean, I can vividly remember there's calls I ran at 12 at night, 2 a.m. in the morning. Like, those first few years, when the phone rings, you have to answer and you have to go. One time I joke because, like, it was probably 1 or 2 in the morning and it was very cold, and I get a phone call and I did not want to run the call. There was nothing that I was like gonna be motivated. So the guy's like, hey man, like, how much to come out? And I didn't even feel good about it. I was like, I'm gonna give him the do not, like, he's not gonna do this. This price is gonna be way too high. And I was like, hey man, with it being this cold, snow on the ground, it's this time of night, it's gonna be $500. And he's like, when can you be here? Like, well, I guess I'm putting my clothes on and get my boots on because I'm not going to turn that down. And it is what it is. It's like, it's what's required of you. And even today, like, there's days I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, okay, I got to get creative and figure out how to move this needle. Then there's days I have to work 10, 12 hours working on a specific task. And I don't think I'm by any means, I understand what you meant by, like, on the back end, which I'm there as well, like the physical workload, but I'm about to put myself back in the front end to grow the business. And
100%.
It's just a different set of problems you have. You're dealing with larger amounts of money. Yeah, I can make it a lot faster, but my payroll's 10 times what it was 2 years ago. So you can lose it a lot faster too. It's just...
And then, like, on the other side, as it is it kind of goes to what you were saying. Like, I could go sell a website and sell a bunch of services for our company, but my overhead is so high that it's not really going to move the needle anymore.
No.
I need to be saying, okay, how can we, like, change and evolutionize an entire department and get better results, make whatever the thing is, so then that way it actually is worth my investment into the thing. And that's where I think a lot of people struggle. They're like, oh, I'm so good at this thing, I'm gonna go keep doing it, I'm gonna make a little more money. And you're like, realize, actually I lost money because me doing the thing actually doesn't make us money anymore.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the days that I'm in the field, it's not as bad now because, again, Carter pretty much runs the day-to-day. We have a sales manager, we have people in the office, we have marketing companies, so, like, they can do the day-to-day. But when I was more involved in all that, if I was in the field one day, I already knew our sales the next few days are going to struggle because it just wasn't moving how it was supposed to. And really, like you said, just having the people, that's their job. If you do their job and you don't let them kind of spread their wings and fly, you're not building a scalable model, and you're not trusting your people to do the work that you hired them for. And there's a sense of pride in that too. It's like, that's the biggest thing, I think, like the end of last year, this year, the last year basically, like, I'm trying to just let go because I am a very hands-on, I've done all the positions, so it's hard for me to sit back and be like, well, you're doing it this way when I think we could do it a little bit better. And another person I listen to, Tommy Mello, he always says, like, you want the A+ players, but you have to be willing to accept, like, an A- or a B+. No one's ever gonna do the work to the level that you know you can do it or it can be done that 100%, but if they can get it to 90%, that's good enough, because you have to keep pumping things out. And if you just sit there and micromanage every little detail, it's never going to work. Like you almost know sometimes like this is going to be a problem, but you have to let that problem come to fruition and then let them solve that problem. It's part of the learning process, and it sucks as a business owner because you're like, this is going to cost me a lot of money or time or whatever it is. But if you fix it yourself, then you're going to have that same problem again.
Occur.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So I want to switch gears a little bit to some of the things you've done to kind of like, whether you call it diversify, whatever, right? So you got the Hotworks, you got some real estate now, like, when did that all kind of take in a place, and like what made you decide to go do those things?
So again, I can't stay still, and I have a lot of ideas floating around in here. Yeah. People have to suppress me, like my success manager, Shelly. She's always like, Jeremy, we have an HVAC business. We're not going to do roofing. We're not going to do landscape lights. And I'm like, but
here we go.
I already have it all in my head. We're like, no, laser focused on what we want to do. So like early on, I wasn't as laser focused. I did let some of those shiny objects kind of pull me away. Yeah. And I think there's something important to be said about that too, because like I invested first in a rental house, mainly because I like to better my life and my investments, and eventually I want maybe to retire. I don't really know what that looks like for me because I like to work, but I want to keep upping my income to the point where it's like, okay, I don't have to do this. I make enough money passively to where I can just live my life. So I bought a rental house. It also helped keep my installers busy in the winter time because we do kind of slow down. And then the next year came. I like to yearly invest in things. And so the next year came and I was like, okay, I can buy another rental house, or I've always wanted to be a serial entrepreneur. So I'm like, maybe I can buy a business. I talked to a couple different people. I was doing the 75 hard. So I was in like a workout mindset, the fitness mindset. I'm like, you know what? If I own a fitness studio, a gym, I'm probably going to be pretty fit for the rest of my life. If not, I kind of feel like a poser, and I don't want to be that person. So I ended up looking into the Hotworks franchise. Long story short, I thought the numbers were good enough for me to purchase one. So I bought into the franchise. We opened it in St. Peter's. At that point, a couple different things happened because my brother Carter, he was working with me, but he wasn't quite in the position he was now. And then my fiance Haley, she was working at Aldi, and she was going to run the Hotworks location. So I decided to general contract my location, and it happened during summertime. So I had to go to my brother and say, hey, like, I'm going to have to kind of step back. I need you to run this business for me. We figured out a compensation plan that made sense, and he had buy-in to the profit, not just like, he knew that if I can make this business money, I'm going to get a good chunk of it. So we figured that out. I stepped aside. I was still in the business every day doing things, but it wasn't all day, every day. I was building a whole nother business at the time. And I general contracted the space, and then I helped Haley kind of get her bearings straight. And once we were to the point of pre-sales, selling members, I kind of went hands off. And I mean, to this day, she now does, the only thing I really do is the bookkeeping, taxes. If something breaks in the studio, I take care of it. The air conditioner, obviously. We're going to have to replace a rooftop unit here soon, and I can't wait because I'm going to get a picture of my guys replacing the unit on my other business, which is kind of just full circle life goal for me. But I mean, really just staying busy and building something of value. Like, I don't want to look back at my life and be like, oh, I wish I would have done this and I could have went harder. And again, back to that shiny object syndrome, like, I do want to open other businesses, but I know the potential that Stay Cool has in this area. I mean, it can do essentially dozens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. So like, it's there. And that's one thing I learned from Tommy Mello is like, don't let these other businesses drag you and pull you aside. Like, Hotworks does great and it performs as it should in this area, but we do in a slower month, we'll do more revenue and profit in 1 month than that business does in a full year. Yeah. So it's like, if I devote my time to that, it's in the wrong area.
Yep.
I have to be laser focused with this HVAC business. Like, I'm getting ready to build a house and I really want to general contract it because I can. I know all the subs and I know everything, but I'm like, man, that's going to pull you away. Yep. And if you get pulled away from your time, you're going to lose money and you're going to lose the growth potential you have. So it's just important, I think, to stay laser focused as much as you can. And sometimes if you get too comfortable too, that's where problems start to occur, I think.
Absolutely. So what's a piece of advice you would have given yourself just getting started? Maybe we didn't talk about it just yet. To yourself, to somebody that's listening, that maybe they're thinking about getting started or they're stuck?
A piece of advice to my younger self, that's a tough one. I would say mainly just like trusting the process, stay laser focused, and stay hungry. Don't be afraid to do things that put you in a situation where it might be a little bit more sketchy than you want it to be financially or whatever it may be. Like, one thing I really wish I would have done, and it sounds crazy to some people, is spent more money early on. Like, in investing, we didn't know COVID was going to do what it did. The prices of houses doubled. I wish I would have bought a bigger house. I've lived very below my means and frugally, and I think sometimes that is the downfall of my drive. Like, in the beginning, I mean, I wanted, my whole goal was like, okay, I want to be a millionaire. I want to make this dollar amount. And I didn't even really know what I knew at the time because I never made that money. And now it's like, okay, that's not nearly as much as you thought it would be. It doesn't do the things you want it to do. Yeah. But like that's literally why I'm building a house right now, is because I need to be a little more, I don't know, like on edge. Like, sure. Okay, I have to go to work. I have to grow this business. I have to make these payments. Yep. If you get too comfortable, you just don't, you have no reason to do it anymore. It's like, okay, if all my stuff's paid for, then I'm good. I don't need to work. And getting that fire, that hunger, sometimes it's hard because you set these goals that you're like, you spend 5-10 years trying to hit them. And then when you hit them, it's like, okay, now what? Yeah. What's next? And I think really the other thing is just shooting for the stars. Like, if your goal is $1 million, make it 5 million, whatever it is, make it bigger. Cause like, things can happen quicker than you think. Even like the last few years, we've been growing probably around 30% year over year. And like I told you, I mean, this year we're almost up 100%. And I'm like, holy cow, what's going on? And I know what's going on. I built a team and I'm letting them work. Yeah. I'm not getting in their way. Yeah. I'm just, hey, this is your job. This is your job. This is your job. If you need help from me, let me know. I'm going to try to stay out of the way. Sometimes it's hard for me not to interject and do my thing, but like, trust the process. It's very hard, but people have done it this way forever. And if you know how someone did something, there's nothing wrong with copying it. Yeah. To a degree, obviously. You can't break trademarks and things like that, but like, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. If someone tells you how they did something, do it, see what happens, and have faith. That's another thing that like I've started to understand is like, you have to have faith in what you're doing. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't, then no one's gonna, if you don't believe in yourself and you're trying to sell this dream to people, they're not gonna believe it because you don't even believe what you're saying. And it is tough because it's like, this is my life, this is my livelihood. But if you have faith and then you back that up with work ethic, I don't really think you can lose.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Great advice to end an awesome episode, man.
Yeah.
How many podcasts have you done?
I think this is like my third or fourth, maybe. Not too many.
Seems like you've been doing a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm comfortable on the camera. I've been doing selfie videos since I rode motorcycles.
You're a pro, man. Well, dude, this was great. Where can people stay connected with you and then also the company as well?
Yeah, so I'm on all major social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Jeremy Wolfe, and then YouTube. My company is on there as well. Stay Cool Climate Control, staycoolclimatecontrol.com, Hotworks St. Peter's. I don't have anything going for the real estate quite yet. We're trying to stay laser focused, even though I do love real estate. I'm like, man, I gotta focus on my business.
Yeah, man. There's power in doing it, man. And I'm excited to continue to see you guys grow, and appreciate you, man.
Thanks again for having me. It was great.
Of course, man. And thank you so much for watching or listening to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe, whether you're watching it on YouTube or the podcasting platform of your choice. Leave us a review as well. Drop a comment on the show. Share it on social media. It helps us get this out to more people. Make sure you go stay connected with Jeremy. Follow all his companies. Support his companies as well. Locally owned businesses. Awesome dude running some great companies as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. And remember, authority isn't built overnight. It's built over time.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.